you do love a little day. I am
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with acclaimed vocalist Dee Dee Bridgewater and decorated pianist Bill Charlap. We caught up with this duo to talk about the magic of their duo union and their new 2025 CD called Elemental. They stand as one of the two of the most highly respected figures in the world of jazz today. Together, they cull together a repertoire that explores a deep understanding of their collective jazz traditions. They had never worked together prior to their first meeting live on stage back in 2019, but since then, they've created magic. We catch up with them on the road in Oakland and talk all things jazz. Enjoy this interview. It's wonderful to meet you. It's an honor. I'm so glad to have both of you together to talk about this latest project and kind of your union. Elemental, such a wonderful album. So thank you again for taking a minute out.
Oh, of course. We thank you for your interest.
Yeah, absolutely. So
delighted to be here with you, Joe.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love catching up. We've done it in the past, so it's so good to reconvene. And this album is wonderful. The union, you can feel the synergy in it. And I from the notes, it goes back to 2019. Talk to me about the meeting and how this kind of evolved into this project.
Well, why don't you tell the story from your perspective first, Dee Dee? I think that's because I think that's where the etymology is.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, as you read in the notes, I had heard this voice say to me, Bill Charlap, and then it repeated. And so I called our mutual agent, which I didn't know until I made the call, and said, I think I'm supposed to work with Bill Charlap. And then he informed me that he represented Bill Charlap as well, he being Jack Randall at the Curland Agency. And Bill expressed his interest in it. And then we got together a few months after that and rehearsed and found several songs that we could do and picked keys. And then after that, some shows were set up just to kind of test the waters, and people responded well. And it became slowly what it has morphed into now and what you heard on the album. Of course, we've I think, gone even further than where we were at the moment that we recorded the album.
Well, the trust keeps developing and it keeps building exponentially, but the chemistry was instant.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's wonderful about the jazz arts is that there's all of these wonderful unions of iconic figures, and you two have been around for a long time and have done such good work on your own. So you knew the chemistry was good up front. It's just felt natural.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know it was going to be this way, but when we got together, that's when we discovered, yes, that there is a chemistry, and from doing the first shows, and
perhaps there was an instinct on Dee Dee's part to know that I understand, or at least I think I understand, from the perspective of the storyteller and the actor and the musician and the improviser, all of these different things that Dee Dee is, and she's much more. But all of those things are there, and all of that matters to me with a song, and it's all. We have a lot more similarities than people might think on the surface.
Yes, good way to put it, Bill.
Something like that.
Yes, I agree. I concur, Joe.
So the one thing too is, no matter how far you go along as an artist and do your work, there's always new things to learn. What have each of you learned about working together? What has been one of the best things that you've enjoyed about working with each other and learned about not only yourself but the art that you're making?
Oh, Bill, you go first.
Well, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is just the instant, it's more than trust. It's that on a dime, we hear the nuance that each other might open the door for. And sometimes we say, okay, we'll go down that corridor, or no, I think we'll go down this corridor. But we make those decisions together, oftentimes in each other's heads, and say, I don't believe how we did that, but it seems to have happened. I don't know if you feel that, but I feel that happening all the time.
Yes, I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Joe, it's I'd say it's just a bit of musical magic that Bill and I are able to conjure up together. And I think it's based on, both of our individual backgrounds and this kind of trust that we have in each other, which allows us to be completely free with each other. I know I can say for myself that I know I'm in good hands with Bill. I know I can go places. I know that, we had instances like last evening. I'm extremely tired. I've had a lot of very interesting things happen in my world in the last few days. And so I haven't had a lot of sleep and didn't have a lot of sleep last night. And when I don't have sleep, I don't know about you, Joe, but I can't remember things. And I can be a little delirious. And I was both of those things last night. And Bill was able to just go with me and help me through moments. And, I think we have developed to a point where we are very open with the audience about what is going on because we're only two people. So there's no real place to hide. But, we were able to share these kind of momentary things that were happening, and the audience loved it, and it was reassuring, and it allowed for us to be, I think, even more free in the moment yesterday. And so it's that kind of magic, I think, that happens, that is really special with Bill and I, besides all of the musical nuances and knowledge that we both bring.
Well, that's
The
it.
stage.
I feel exactly, I augment exactly what Dee Dee's just said. And with that, of course, all of the technical things, we trust the time, we trust the lyric, we trust the story that's being told, we trust the improvising moment. All of those things are there. All of that nuance is there. All of that craft is there. But beyond that, there's a bit of an emotional antenna to what's going on for each other and collectively, which is why the whole becomes greater than its parts. It sort of becomes one organism of sorts.
Oh, I like that, Bill. Let's keep that. Let's keep that.
Okay. Emotional antenna. Emotional antenna.
Yes, I love emotional antenna. That's beautiful.
It is awesome.
They gave them out on my home planet.
That's great. We don't see that as the fan, as the one in the stands. You're so good at what you do. You're well-oiled machine, so no one would even assume or presume. But obviously, when you're in that scenario, you take care of each other. You're in a situation, so that makes total sense. I'm curious, of all the material, the blank canvas that you had going in on Elemental, how did you land on these songs? How did you orchestrate the final lineup to make it on this album?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, go on, Bill.
Well, okay, I think that's interesting. First of all, we both have a very vast repertoire at our fingertips and within our guts. But there's something else, too. With all of that, it has to be places where there's stories that, Dee Dee has one thing I don't have here, which are the words. And it has to be a story that can have many layers in it, can be personal, but also can be something you could project something on. Also, it's not always an obvious story, and it's not always the same story, even within the song. That's part of embracing the layers within the lyric. So maybe I'm spinning off a little bit too far here. Simply this, and this is the easiest answer. We picked things we like. But picking things we like is the heart knows everything that the head knows, and the heart is very intelligent. The heart is also looking for balance, is also looking for something, maybe something that's very opulent harmonically, and then something that's very simple, something that's maybe earthy, and then something that's a little bit more ephemeral. All of those things, the heart will tell you. And when the balance is there, you know. And I think that for both of us, it's an intuitive process.
Yeah. So to answer your question even further, um, these were numbers when we had been performing them, that some of these songs we thought, oh, well, this will go on the album and that'll go on the album. I would say probably the Duke Ellington's songs that are on the album, we'd really been going into those numbers. So they were a natural choice for us. Honeysuckle Rose. I mean, we've had some moments with Honeysuckle Rose that, I mean, we both ended up, you know, bent over laughing. You
Yeah.
know, and so we kind of felt like that one had to be on the album. And in the still of the night, we had been doing a lot, and I just loved what we had been doing with that song. So that one had to be on the album. Um, I have to say this to you, Joe. We played some songs last night. We played a lot of songs that we did not put on the album. And I think it's because we hadn't put them on the album. It was a little, let's do these. And so, you know, they just happened. You know, they just happened. They really did. I mean, because we have many choices. I mean, we could do a volume 2, and maybe we will. Maybe we will.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And just another piece of that is that as they start to develop a way of getting to them and they start to have a shape to them, they also are able to morph within that, and maybe we'll say, let's try it this way tonight and see if this works. And it might open up another door, and that can be kind of cool too. And another thing is, as far as the organic nature, I think the very first song that we performed live was I'm Beginning to See the Light. So it's kind of fitting that should be the first tune on the record, at least on the CD.
Yep.
So the one thing about performing live is you're creating these indelible memories for fans. They'll remember forever. They will make imprints, and that's the beauty of the art that you create. And I'm curious, in your life, when you go back to the beginnings, what was one of the first seminal shows that you saw with a live performer that really blew you away and gave you extra gas to want to do this with your career?
I think it wasn't a live show. It was on television. But in a live performance, I would say the first time that I saw somebody in a live performance, and I think it was when my mother's sister and I went to an Aretha Franklin concert outside of Detroit in a city called Rochester, Michigan. And I just was in love with Aretha Franklin. I didn't understand her voice. I didn't understand where it came from. And I just remember being totally fascinated with her and with the audience response, and thinking, wow, I'd like to do that. Wow. But I also would sneak out of my house when I was a teenager, literally climb out of the window and steal my mother's car and sneak into concerts. I snuck into a James Brown concert, and I mean, I always loved James Brown, and so I was like, oh, I got to do this. I want to do that thing, you know. Or I would go to shows in Flint, Michigan, when Motown Records had started, and hear like the Miracles and the Temptations and the Four Tops and put together a kind of all-female band modeled after Martha Reeves and the Vandellas and the Marvelettes. And so, I mean, I've always wanted to do this thing. So, but I think it was the Aretha show where I went, I got to do this thing.
Yeah.
Not her thing, but I like this idea of people coming to see me.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And people applauding for you. Are you kidding? It's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, I was in the 8th grade, and to our grade school came Roland Hanna, Major Holly, and Eddie Locke.
Oh my
And,
God.
and they played trio. And I remember thinking, that's the most beautiful music I ever heard in my life. It seems they're so loose, but they have to know so much about music, but they're having so much fun. But I know it's really, really hard. I remember having all of those thoughts. And then I thought, they seem to have a community between them that it seemed outside of society, their own society, in the most beautiful kind of way. And I remember they played songs that had these wild titles. And I came home on the bus, and I came home to my mom, who's a great singer and great musician. I said, Mom, I heard a song today. It's called On Green Dolphin Street. Have you ever heard of that song? I thought that was a crazy title. She
I
said,
love it.
but that was the first time that I really heard real improvised, masterful jazz musicians. That, a little later, hearing Sarah Vaughan at was Avery Fisher Hall, and the way that she just commanded everyone from the front row to the last seat of the 5th tier. Couple of other things. Dick Hyman playing solo piano at Hanratty's, and a concert pianist called Rigai was the last name, and he played music of Godshaw. I didn't really realize how important that was until later, and I found out Godshaw was a forerunner to Scott Joplin's music, a Creole composer. So those are 4 things that stick out in my mind very early.
Wow. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, separately and together, you both are very well-oiled machines, and it's taken a long time for you to get to this point in your career.
Well, oil.
And the
I'm
reason
sorry,
why
that makes me laugh. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry.
There's vinegar as well.
And the reason why I say that is because you make this look easy. But like you said up front, Dee Dee, I mean, you're human. You know, there's everybody gets tired. There's all these things that go into being a human being, but you're a creator, and you're creating this music that just looks so seamless when you're on stage and when we listen to these albums. But you get up every day and create. And you evolve over time. And maybe this is because I'm getting older and I have more respect for musicians that have been around for decades, because it's not an easy thing to do, because it takes a daily perseverance to do this. What gets you up every day? What has been the fuel for you to evolve into these musicians that have run into each other and together has created this music?
That's a good question, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the joy of the creation and the joy of being in communion with another musician of like mind who also has that joy, and being able to have these very intricate conversations and not know where it's going to go, and the excitement of the unknown, and knowing that you're going to be creating this with someone who cares about you, who cares about this music like you do, and who is going to be as interested as you are, who is there to not only listen and have the conversation, but also can carry the conversation when you want to fall back, and that you can have this kind of interplay. That's the thing that I think keeps me going. And also knowing that people have taken time out of their lives and organized themselves to come and be a part of an evening of this unknown beauty that they think that they're going to experience with you. It's all of that. And then the people who have had the dream to want to organize this kind of meeting of the musical minds, and then the people that are going to come and support it. And I mean, it's a whole thing. I mean, I was talking about Yoshi's and how wonderful it is rather to come back to Yoshi's after being gone for so long, and to see all of these new young people who are running the club, who care about it, who are carrying on the legacy of the club. I mean, there's so much that goes into the making of this music, and all of the working components of the music. And that's what I think keeps me going and keeps me excited.
You see, I
All
love
of it.
this, and I must tell you, I was just thinking about it last night after the concert, how now, having been with Dee Dee numerous times in concert and seen the way that she thanks everybody, and it's not hyperbole, it's quite real, from the people who are running the club to the musicians who are there to everybody who is working the club to the audience really taking their time to give us their trust. All of these things are very real, and it's really Dee Dee Bridgewater's humanity is in everything that she does. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're playing, back to what you were saying, what really gets us excited is we're playing volleyball with each other with a full helium balloon, tapping it, not letting it get all the way to the floor, even though it can hit the floor, but we'll probably tap it pretty quick there. But we're watching it and tapping it, and we're playing volleyball with each other. But somehow, even though we're playing with each other, we're on the same team. Something's going on like that.
Yeah.
What a great visual.
Makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little kooky, but
No, I love it. I just think about knocking a balloon around with my kid and like don't let it hit the floor. And then I'm thinking about that metaphorically on stage.
Yeah.
Such a cool metaphor.
Well, you don't want to force it. You have to watch it and listen, and also you have to be able to respond to when somebody else hits it. Oh, I wasn't expecting it to go that way. How can I contribute to the next moment?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be free to trust, and you practice that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the perfect lead into my next question, which is this. What have you learned together as a duo creating this magic on stage and in studio that has lent to you individually when you are doing your own solo work? How has this union enhanced you and what you're presenting to the world as a solo artist?
That's a pause for me to think about the answer. Go ahead.
I can answer some of that. When somebody sees and witnesses you and becomes someone who loves you into being, and you love them into being, we live within each other, and we become a part of each other. And so this is wonderfully artistically intimate and trustful and expanding. And it goes a bit beyond words, but I can say that it has given me, I can hear Dee Dee's voice in my mind as I would hear my mother's voice, or Reenie's notes, or Kenny Washington's notes. They all inform, and they all they all live within you, and we live within each other. So there's something about that. And, just Dee Dee's freedom and passion, I hope I can embrace some of that too. It's right there.
I think what has happened for me as a result of Bill and I, and this intimacy that we have, and this trust, and this just kind of free. I feel like sometimes we're just in this free falling thing. I've tried to take that energy into my quartet space. And I noticed that I am asking and allowing for the musicians in my quartet to become freer in their performance and in their soloing and in our interaction. So I'm beginning to break down our arrangements, and I'll say to somebody that doesn't usually solo at a particular point, solo, and so everybody now is like, oh, we got to be on because we never know what Dee Dee's going to say, and where we got to go. And so it's created this beautiful kind of imagining of music and a new sense of freedom and a new sense of trust among the four of us that didn't exist before Bill and I. And I don't think that I would have come to this kind of way of working with my other band if Bill and I hadn't been having this wonderful experience that we are doing and having. So it's very much informed. What Bill and I do has very much informed my work outside of our space.
I feel that in my trio playing too. You can trust the risk.
Yes. Yes. There we go, Bill. Yes. It's that.
You are definitely the poet, Bill. You're weaving together wonderful imagery. It's great. So
Well,
let me ask you this: you had mentioned
well,
Yossi.
Dee Dee's giving me the chapter, so I just get to put the exclamation point on it. She's setting it all up there.
Takes two to tango, man.
It does.
Equal poetry.
Yes. So you had mentioned Oakland, Yoshi's. Talk to me a little bit about if anyone wants to catch you live. How can they do that?
What's
you
next?
mean what's next? What is next, Bill?
I think we're going to be at the Charlie Parker Festival in New York
Yes,
City
in August. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And numerous other things in the works.
Yeah. I mean, they can go to my website, deedebridgewater.com, and the tour dates will be up as we approach them. Because for Bill and I, our dates that we do are interspersed between, each of our own individual things that we do. So, yeah, I think the next one is the Charlie Parker, and I'm looking up the date. I think it's the 24th of August.
I have a feeling. I'm sure between then you're flung all over parts of the world.
Yeah.
I'll be in Paris and Buenos Aires and lots of other places.
Yeah.
And I can put all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for teaming up together and talking about this. This is an absolute honor. I've had both of you profiled together on the show. I'm looking forward to profiling this album as well. So it's an honor and a pleasure. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Joe. We appreciate your interest and wanting to do this. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're very proud of Elemental, and I personally am really thrilled that you were interested enough that you would want to speak to us. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Oakland, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to both Bill and Dee Dee for their time and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.